Hi guys, happy Monday. I'm so excited for team call tonight. Um, I hope all of you listened to the National Wake Up Call. It was amazing. I know like it lit such a fire in me, got me really excited. And it's so cool to hear from the fact that she is like such a new coach. So I hope you listen to that. If you haven't, make sure you put it on your to-do list and make it happen. I'm going to jump right in and introduce our guest speaker tonight. She is also a newer coach. Let me share my screen. But you guys, she's freaking incredible. Okay, so Meredith, many of you probably remember we had Julie on our team call a few weeks ago. Julie Kemp, Meredith is in her downline, I believe. So I actually found Meredith from watching one of Julie's calls, and Meredith actually spoke on one of her team calls, and I just like fell in love with her. I love her story. I love her passion. I love her just approach to this business. So I asked her to reach out to come on and share with us tonight. She is a very busy woman. So the thing is, she is a full-time nurse. She is from Dallas, Texas. She's been coaching for 7 months, and she is a wife. She is a dog mom. I know we have all the dog moms on here. She is a full-time pediatric cardiac ICU nurse. So very busy, very on Monday that we could get her on here. So I'm so glad we finally could make it happen. But she is an Emerald coach, but she's been hitting Success Club 20, you guys, like for the last like 4 months in a row. And I think that's probably like one of the reasons why, oh my God, okay, yes. That's one of the reasons why I really want to have her on here tonight, is not because of the fact that she hits such high numbers. It's the fact that it's just her approach to how she works her business and how she thinks about what we do and how she doesn't complicate it. She really leads with her passion and leads with her heart for what she's serving. And so that's why I really wanted her to come on and share. And I'm excited for her to share her story and share any tips and wisdom that she has with us tonight. So I will mute myself and let you take it away, Meredith. Let me stop my share.
Yay. Hi guys. So the talk that I gave on Julie's call was just about how I had success early on in this business. And so that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. I actually forgot how to do that. Share. Okay, let me see. All right. Okay, can y'all see my PowerPoint? Amazing. Okay. So some of these slides are a little bit wordy. I'm mostly using them for like my notes, but for you guys who are more visual, it's going to be helpful to like see the words as I'm going through them. So bear with the more wordy slides. So a little bit about me, you guys kind of know, but I'm from Dallas originally, and then I went to nursing school at OU in Oklahoma. And then my husband is a year older than me, so he came back to Dallas right outside of college. And then I came back and we got married right after school. We actually met in high school, so we're high school sweethearts. And then I'm a full-time pediatric cardiac ICU nurse. So Amy mentioned it took us a couple tries for me to get on here because I worked like a lot of Mondays in a row. So here I am off on a Monday. And then just a little bit about how I like got into coaching. So a year and like 4 months ago, I got BOD, like $99 BOD, only wanted the workouts. I had a girl, total stranger on Instagram, reach out to me and ask if I'd be interested in doing online workouts. And I was like, well, I'm going to the gym, but I'm not really feeling the gym. Like I go and just kind of piddle around, and I needed like some structure to my workouts. So I started doing BOD. And after a couple months, my husband was like, Meredith, you'd be really good at being a coach. Like you love helping people. You know a lot about health and fitness. Like you're a nurse. People trust you. Like you might as well just go for it. And I was like, nope, hard pass. I'm going to just keep doing my nursing thing and being a wife and just living life. And so that kind of went on for a while. And in the background, like my husband is a financial advisor, and so he's building his business from the ground up as well. And so I had seen him like have success in that and just kind of like show up daily and doing habits that I was like, wow, like this thing is growing and he's making it work and he's being an entrepreneur. So I kind of had that example. But then in September, I was at this wedding. It was on a Friday night, and it started a little bit later, and so they didn't serve dinner till like 9:00. And that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I was gonna have to work 3 in a row, 12-hour shifts, which I don't know if there's any nurses on this call, but one 12-hour shift is a lot. And then doing 3, you get to the end and you're just spent. Like there's nothing left in you after those 3 days. So I knew that I needed to get to bed kind of early after that wedding. And so I had to leave before they even served dinner. And at that point I was like, all right, I am done letting my job dictate what my weekends are going to look like and dictate like my social life. And I also have to rotate nights, and nights being married are just not the best. I don't get to see my husband like half of the week. And so it kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, short term, I know that coaching can allow me to go part-time and it's going to allow me to like cut down on my weekend requirements, but more long term, I knew that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I knew that coaching could allow me to do that. So that's kind of my background and how I got to coaching. Okay, so starting with your why. I think everybody talks about your why, and at some point you're like, yeah, got it. I know my why, whatever. It can kind of fall on deaf ears. But seriously, like if you don't have a strong why, it's going to be very hard to stay in this business, because there's going to be weeks and months that you just feel like people are saying no to you all the time. And let's say that you hit Success Club, let's say like SC10, like 3 months in a row, and then all of a sudden you're sitting and it's the 30th of the month and you're at 0. And you're like, what? You're like, what happened? But if you have a strong why, that is going to carry you through those times of frustration and of just struggle. So I'm going to ask y'all, what is your why? And I want you to answer in the chat right now what your why is. Whoops. Do y'all use the chat a lot? Much? Fine. Okay, there you go. All right, so we got financial freedom, impacting lives, dreams coming to reality, able to have more flexible schedule, financial freedom, yep, staying at home mom, yep, help others, yep, amazing. Yay, woo, got in. Yes, okay, all amazing things. So if you guys couldn't like automatically think, this is my why, like this is why I'm doing coaching, it might not be strong enough, but all of the ones that I just saw, I think are plenty strong. But I just think it's a good gut check to be like, okay, what is my why? If I'm able to answer it like right now, it's probably strong enough and it's gonna carry me through those tough times. So something that could help is you could write your why down on a note card and like hang it up on your mirror where you're gonna see it every single day, make it your background on your phone, like something to where you are consistently like filling your mind with, okay, this is why I'm doing this. And that's gonna kind of help give you a strong foundation for this business. And so when I talk about my why, I tend to say, I will be a stay-at-home mom and I will be a part-time nurse in a year so that I can work less weekends and holidays and nights. And the reason why I say I will be is actually based on a PD book called Think and Grow Rich. He talked a lot about the power of like speaking your dreams into reality. And so when I talk about my why, I like saying it in definitive, I will be this, this will happen. And I think that that can be a really good way of informing your mind and like setting up a vision of the future for, okay, this is what my life can look like. And this is what I really hope that it can look like. But at the same time, I want to balance that with truth from scripture, and see that, okay, like, yes, this is what my plan is, but also I want to be open-handed to what the Lord has for my business. And so I'm going to read a verse from James 4, 13 and 14. It says, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes." So that verse just kind of warns against, like, it honestly kind of warns against speaking definitively about your life and what's going to happen. And so I think it's good to be able to like read PD books and like fill your mind with like definitive, yes, like I want this to happen. But I also want to be able to balance that out with, okay, like the Lord realistically could pull this business out from underneath my feet tomorrow if that's his will. And like, I need to be okay with that if that's going to happen. But at the same time, he could also will that I be a stay-at-home mom and like rock this business 5 years from now. So our job is to step into this like in confidence and in faith and trust the Lord to take care of what we can't control. Oops, how do I get, okay. Alrighty, the 4 vitals. If I could sum up how to be a successful coach in one slide, it would be the 4 vitals. So if you Google the word vital on Google, if you Google the word vital on Google, it says it is something that is absolutely necessary or absolutely important. And so based on that definition, the 4 vital behaviors are absolutely necessary for your business. As a nurse, the word vital means like has a little bit of a different connotation for me. So vitals are like your oxygen level, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your respirations per minute. And so as a nurse, if I see that someone's oxygen level is not where I want it to be, or their blood pressure is too high, that signals that I need to do something, that I either need, I work with a lot of babies, a lot of congenital heart defects. So if my baby's blood pressure is through the roof, maybe I need to go in there and calm them down. Or if their oxygen level is too low, maybe I need to go give them a little more oxygen. And so in the same way, if any of these 4 vitals are not where they need to be, your business is not going to be at tip-top shape. So starting with the first one, be a product of the product. So the way that I have done this is picking a program and working through it from start to finish and then sharing about it on social media. So I'll get into social media a little bit more in a later slide, but for now we're just gonna stick to that big overview. Something else that I do is when I post about like drinking Shakeology or pre-workout or post-workout, I don't say like Beachbody and I don't use the actual names of the products. Like I don't say, here's my Shakeology, because I don't want people to see that and then Google it and be like, oh, she uses that. And one, it robs them of like coming to you and you getting to explain like, this is what it is. It's so awesome. It's like helped me in all these ways. But then also if they go and like buy it on their own, then you miss out on a potential client and they might not be getting the help in like in an accountability group that they could need. So that's just kind of my take on like posting products. And then another thing that helps with being a product of the product is actually following the meal plan. So they've actually changed the nutrition guide now, I think, that they send out. I still use the one that I started with back in October. It was like a blue packet and it more went off of like the Ultimate Portion Fix portions. And now I think it's more on like the calories. So I still have the nutrition guide PDF saved from before that I use. So in each, like beginning of each month, when I add new girls to my accountability group, I get on in a video and I just explain, here's how the nutrition guide works. Here's lists of all of the, like, they have lists of like all proteins that you can choose from and carbs and healthy fats and all that stuff. So I explain to them, here's the nutrition plan that I follow and here it is. If you want to use it, great. It's going to help out. So that's how I'm a product of the product. And then the second vital is sharing, inviting, and following up. So funny story, business activity tracker. I have actually had it as the background on my phone since I started coaching in October. I knew that if I didn't have it somewhere, kind of like as a checklist, I was going to forget one of the steps. So I've looked at it pretty much every day since then. Now I have it memorized that I just like, I know my order of things and I do it. But following the business activity tracker is like huge. So on there, it recommends that you invite, I think, 3 to 5 people every single day. And when I first started, I was like, okay, if I'm only inviting 3 people a day, that is not going to get me to where I want to be as fast as I want to get there. So I decided to every day. So I post stories and then I post posts. And so each day when I was doing my power hour, I would either look at who was watching my stories or look who had liked my most recent post. And I would just start at the top and I would invite the first, like, I was inviting like an average of 15 people a day for probably the first like 3 months, because I knew I like wasn't going to run out of people who were like in my immediate like friends. So I just clicked on my story, clicked on who watched it, and the first 15 girls that popped up, I invited them. I just had it saved on Instagram. You have the little like ... save thing. I just had my invite language saved, and I would just customize it for whoever I was talking to. And then a lot of coaches have done like a power hour video. I know Julie has, and I watched hers when I first started, kind of as a guide of like, okay, what do I need to be doing? And so I know like you could YouTube like Julie Kemp Power Hour, or I don't know if any of you have done one, but there's like a lot of different coaches who've done Power Hour videos where it's an hour and they just walk through their power hour. So if you needed other ideas of what one could look like, that's always an option. So third vital is PD. This was something that I really didn't get into till like 2 months ago. I had read like the book, The Slide Edge, and I had read Think and Grow Rich like before I started coaching, and the ideas in those 2 books just kind of like stuck with me, and I just had them in my head. And then my husband is honestly, he's like very motivational and very like encouraging. So he was kind of like my personal development for a while, but like really since I've done it, it really does like inform your mindset and help just with like a positive outlook towards business, and like helping you persevere and being like, yeah, okay, every entrepreneur is going to go through this like rut, or everyone's going to have these like really exciting highs where you're like just doing really well in your business. And I don't know, personal development's really important. So it could be a podcast on a podcast app. They're free. It could be an audiobook. If you have Audible, you have like every book in the world at your fingertips. Could be an actual book, just really whatever you can find and whatever works in your schedule. For me, most recently, I've just been doing podcasts because it's really easy just to put one on while I'm like doing dishes or doing laundry or driving or whatever I'm doing. And then the fourth vital is getting people results. So this looks like having an accountability group. I run mine on Facebook. I haven't decided if I'm going to switch over to bod groups. I really like Facebook, and I think my clients really like Facebook. But the way that I set it up is I have the same Facebook group all year round, but every month I like revamp it. So I repost those nutrition videos that I have made. I post the exact same ones each month. And then I post on the Sunday right before we start, I post an expectations, like here's what you can expect from me, here's what I expect from you, here's the purpose of this group, just kind of re-summarizing what the group is for and what I'm expecting them to get from it. So yeah, those are the 4 vitals. So my question for you guys on these, are you doing these things every single day? If you are, amazing, keep it up. If you're not, why would you leave this part of your business to chance? So there's a lot in this business that we are not in control of. We cannot control if people just lost their job because of COVID and they can't pay for a membership. We can't control if somebody's kid got on their phone and opened up your Instagram message to them and the parent never sees it. We can't control if somebody says no, but we can control if we show up for ourselves and do our workout program. We can control if we invite 3 to 5 or 15 or however many you're inviting people a day. We can control if we show up and do our personal development, and we can show up for our current clients and help them get results in our accountability group. So that's kind of my gut check question for the slide. Okay. Next. Oh, I forgot. I had a quote to go from the Slide Edge book. If you haven't read it, it's an amazing personal development book. But it says, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. Why did you walk past the treadmill? Because it's easy. If you don't do it today or tomorrow or the next day, you won't suddenly drop dead, and you won't suddenly put on 20 pounds, and you won't suddenly lose all your muscle tone. The simple error in judgment compounded over time will ruin your health, but not immediately. So we can take that idea and put it in vitals. So just kind of as a context, I started October 3rd, and the only 2 days that I've taken off that I didn't do a power hour was Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I saw that quote in the slide edge, and I was like, if I take a day off, it is going to slow down my momentum. And I could easily tell myself, it's just a day. It's not going to be that big of a difference, which it might not be. But the more I make that excuse, the more it turns into a habit, and the more I'm just going to not do it. So doing the little things every single day, even when you don't feel like it, is going to have a huge impact down the road. Okay, so that's all I had for that slide. Something else that I did early on that really helped me was trainings. So I am the type of person who likes to know every single thing about everything before I start something new. So when I started coaching, I knew this much, and I did not like that. My husband is the exact opposite. You can give him a task and he can know nothing about it, and he's like, all right, I'm ready, let's do it. I'm like, hold on, pump the brakes. I need some education on this. So as soon as I signed up, I looked on, so Julie has all of her old team calls on YouTube. I went and watched, I think, every single one of them until I ran out of them. All the old national wake up calls are on the podcast app. That's a good personal development tool you could use. There's also the FAQs in the back office, the Beachbody training videos in the back office. You can just Google stuff. I just inhaled information as fast as I could because I needed to just figure out what I was doing. I don't know if you guys have your old team calls on YouTube or what, but go watch them if you do. And also it can just be good to get different perspectives, listening to different people. So for instance, something that I say tonight, you may have heard before, but coming from a different coach, it may just kind of hit you differently. So there's a lot of value in seeing different trainings and listening to different coaches too. Okay, so this, not caring about what people think, has been the biggest spiritual growth for me since being a coach. So this slide, I'm going to mostly be speaking to any Christians who are on this call. If you're not a Christian, it can still apply to you, but I'm going to be reading from the Bible, so it's going to have a little bit more pertinence to Christians. So knowing my worth in Christ has fueled my business from the ground up. I'm going to read these 2 verses, and then I'm going to talk about how it's applied and how it's kind of informed my mindset towards coaching. So Hebrews 13, 5 and 6 says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we can confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? So that last question, what can man do to me? Man can't do anything to us that is going to harm us eternally. They might say some mean things. They might, I don't know, if you're doing it from your phone, all they can do is say something mean or think something mean about you. There's nothing that anybody is going to do that's going to actually hurt you eternally. And another part of this verse says, the Lord is my helper. The Lord, God, Jesus is your helper in every sense of the word. He gives us peace. He gives us eternity with him when we could have no way of earning our way to that eternity with him. Just in every sense of the word, he is our helper, and man cannot do anything to hurt us. And so that's kind of part 1 of not caring what people think about me, is knowing that the Lord is my helper and that man really can't do anything to hurt me. And then the second verse is Colossians 1, 21 and 22. It says, in you who once were alienated and hostile in mind, doing evil deeds, he is now reconciled in his body of flesh by his death in order to present you holy and blameless and above reproach before him. So this is basically the gospel. We are unable to earn our salvation. I cannot do enough good things in my life to earn my way to heaven. God is perfect and he requires perfection to get into heaven. And I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Jesus is the only one who ever lived a perfect life. And so this verse is saying, if we believe in him, Jesus is able to present us holy, blameless, and above reproach before God when we die. And so because of that, I don't have to find my identity in coaching. I don't have to find my identity in the Success Club 0 months or the Success Club 30 months. Like it's not there. My identity is in Christ, and that is why I'm able to just be freed up to be a coach and not let coaching be like the end all be all on my life. And the way that kind of this played out practically of like not caring what people think about me was inviting every single girl who watched my stories or liked my posts. So my market is just girls. I don't really invite guys unless they reach out to me first and like want to do the workouts, which if they do, that's great, but I'm not going to put them in my accountability group because I want that to just be girls. So I'm going to just be talking about girls, but if your market's guys too, have at it, keep it up. So at first, when I started inviting like my 15 people a day, I would go to my story and I'd be scrolling and I was like, oh yeah, easy, I'll invite her. And then I'd get to somebody where I'm like, nope, I'm going to skip them and I'm going to come back later. And I was doing that because I was scared of what they were going to think about me. And I can narrow it down. Most of the time it was coworkers who I was going to see on a daily or on a semi-daily basis. And so I just had to get to the point where I was like, okay, Meredith, it does not matter. Like what they think about you does not matter. You can let it affect you, or you can just say, you know, what they think is what they think. If I want to do coaching and I'm going to be successful and I know my why and I want to be a stay-at-home mom and I want to cut down on my weekend hours, it does not matter. So eventually I've gone back through and I've re-invited those people. But at first it was a struggle. I was like, nope, skipping people left and right. Another thing, I just had to get out of my head that people thought I was weird. Like I thought that people thought about me all the time. And I'm self-centered, I'm prideful, it's fine, I can claim that. But like people don't think about you as much as you think they think about you. So I think social media can breed this like idea that people always know what's going on in your life, and like what you post about, yeah, they know about, but like there's still parts that they don't know about. And if you take 2 days off, like it's okay. I don't know. I just thought that people thought about me all the time. So that's not the case. People do not think about you as much as you think they do. And then also people probably don't think you're weird. And if they do, it doesn't matter because what they think really doesn't have an effect on you if you don't let it. And then the last thing that I want to touch on is the answer is always going to be no until you ask. So I can maybe count on one hand how many people have reached out to me first before I made the initial conversation about working out, accountability group, or coaching. Sometimes a couple months down the road, after I've invited them, people will come to me and say, hey, like, what's that coaching thing you're doing? I'm interested, but very rarely. So normally the answer is going to be no until you invite them or until you bring it up in person or however you invite. The answer is going to be no until you ask. So that being said, if you're afraid of inviting some people, their answer is always going to be no until you come to them and you say, hey, I'm doing this program. Would you like to join me? And then just kind of my question for this slide, will you look back on the people you invited and said no? So sorry, back up. In 5 years, when you're still here doing coaching, will you look back on the people you invited who said no? Or are you going to be looking at your top coaches and you're going to be so grateful that you invited them? I think I can get really focused on like the here and now and on all the no's or the not yets or the, oh, I can't afford that. But I need to take time and say, okay, like, God, this is who you've given me right now. And this is who I'm able to like help live a healthier life, and kind of shifting my mindset from the no's to that has been really helpful. All right, language. So when I first started, I drafted like my invite language and my follow-up language, and I ran through it with my husband, because you guys might have like a team page where you have like example of language, or maybe you guys like kind of talk with each other about what exact like wording you use when you invite, which is amazing. Like I needed some sort of template when I started. But if I took some other coach's template and used it, and then that person like met me in person and I didn't sound at all like how I sounded in my emails, it would be super weird. So I drafted my language and then I ran through it with Will to make sure that it sounded like me and to make sure that it didn't sound like pushy or salesy. And we've all probably gotten like the awkward, like, oh, salesy, they really, really, really need my business. And it's just, I did not want that to be me. I wanted it to be very normal and natural. And like, if you want this, you can have it. If not the end of the world. If it's not for you, it's fine. If you don't have a spouse, find a friend, ask someone in your upline who can just listen to your language and say, yep, sounds good, sounds like you. And then also practicing your language with somebody also helps with talking about coaching in person. So when I started, that was like one of my big fears was, what if somebody asks me at work and I don't know what to say? Like, I'm pretty sure at first when somebody brought it up, I was like, what's your email? I'll email you information. And I'm like, I'm sitting right here. Like, I can talk to them about it in person. I was just nervous and I didn't quite like know how to talk about it. And so practicing that can be really helpful. And so my question, who are you going to practice your language with? All right, social media. So social media, when I first started coaching, this was like the biggest barrier to me because I knew that I liked the workouts. I knew that I was going to really like helping people and have them in an accountability group, but being present on Instagram or Facebook was very overwhelming to me. I had spent like months at a time where I would just delete all forms of social media from my phone before coaching because it like took over my mind and I didn't like the way that it affected me. And I was just like compared my life to other people way too much. And so that I think really was the like reason why I waited so long to start. But I have had to frame it in social media is my storefront. It is where I do my marketing and it is my business platform. And once I saw it as a business platform and not so much as like me consuming it, it allowed me to use it as a tool and not as like an emotional fill. So I'm going to talk about how I use social media and how it's helped with me. And then I see there's a couple chat. We can look at the chat at the end if there's questions or anything. But this also is my most wordy slide, so I'm sorry that there's a lot of words up here. So stories. I post stories, and whenever I'm talking on my story, I act like I'm talking to a friend. So as a general overview of my week, I work 3 12-hour shifts. On the days that I work 12-hour shifts, I do not post very many stories. I post pretty much the same thing every time I'm at work. I post a picture of my breakfast or coffee. I post a picture of me in the mirror with my scrubs on, and I'm just smiling, and then I just say work. And then sometimes I remember to post a picture of my lunch, and then if I make a shake after work, sometimes I post a picture of my shake after work. It's very simple. It's pretty much food, me in scrubs. That's it. I don't have time to think about it. I don't have anything else to post about because I don't post while I'm at work because HIPAA, and I'm just not going to risk doing that. So on my off days, my 4 off days, generally I post a picture of like my coffee. I normally do a picture of coffee or breakfast. And then I always post either a picture of like the verse from the like passage of scripture that I studied that morning, or I've started just like summarizing what I'm learning in my quiet time and just posting it because it kind of helps me like re-summarize what I learned. Because if I can teach something, then I know that I've learned it well myself. And then whenever I work out, I post a couple workout videos from the day. And then when I'm off, I normally talk to my story once. And that normally just looks like happy Monday. And then I just give a summary of what I did that day. I'm not super like fancy. I'm not like trying on clothes from Target, which is amazing. That's just not me. So when I do talk, I act like I'm talking to a friend. And then something that I was like, you probably caught it, I pretty much post the same thing most of the days. It's okay to be consistent and post similar things at similar times every single day. Like people really do value consistency, and they just want to see like they just want to see you show up, and they're really like impressed when they're like, wow, like she's doing another workout and it's in the same spot in her house and she's wearing the same clothes and it's fine. So that's kind of the stories. As far as posts, this, again, the posts I think was the part of social media that was really a barrier for me. And so my rule now is I just want to post something that gives value to people. So that could look like something that you've learned in your personal development, or something like encouraging, or something that you learned. I tend to post like once a week or once every 2 weeks, something that I learned in my quiet time. And then I've recently started posting workouts. So I'll video, like let's say I'm currently doing the work. If you haven't done it yet, it's amazing. This is my 3rd time through it. It's like my bread and butter. I love it. But I will just take whatever workout I did that day and I'll video like 2 or 3 reps of each of the moves, and then I'll post that to my post, because a lot of people, one, they really like that it's like a full sample workout that they can save, but also sometimes people will text me or message me and be like, hey, I tried that workout, like I loved it. And then I'm like, oh, well, would you like to have access to more? Because I have this whole online thing that you can have all these different programs if you want it. And so it's, one, it gives them value, because if they need a workout, it's like right there. But also it's a good kind of gateway to be like, hey, like I do this coaching thing and I have girls who all do these workouts together and we like hold each other accountable online. And then as far as like the picture itself, put like some effort into it. It doesn't have to be this like super amazing picture all the time, but at least like, I don't know, I post plenty of pictures where I'm not wearing makeup and where my hair is like not done, but I have like a certain filter that I put on all of them that make my pictures look a little bit cohesive. I use Lightroom. It's just like the free app. And then I think I got like a $2 filter on Pinterest that I just use on all my pictures, and it's super easy. So don't overthink that, but it is like aesthetically nice if the pictures have some sort of similar filter going on. And then I talked about the workout videos. So as far as posting, I don't know really why I started doing this, but I think I've posted every day since Christmas. And Christmas was really like around that time was really when I started to see like some momentum pick up. I finally had people coming back around who I'd first started inviting who were saying yes. And I just wanted to like go all in. Like I didn't want anything in my business to be holding me back from success. And so I wanted to be able to show up every single day on social media in some sense or form. So I've been posting every day. You do not have to do that. I know plenty of coaches who post 2 to 3 times a week, and it's totally fine. Even less than that, I'm sure, is totally doable. I just personally have wanted to like make it a habit of mine to post every day. And honestly, posting workout videos has been really nice because it gives me content for 1 or 2 of my days a week. I don't have to think about it. I just have to go back through and type up which moves I did that day. Something else that I did was I do all of my stuff on Instagram. Like I reach out on Instagram Messenger. It's where I post my stories, but you can link your Instagram to Facebook so that every single thing you post on Instagram shows up on Facebook. And at first I was really nervous about this because a lot of my Facebook friends, they're the same people as Instagram, except it's also like people my mom's age, like old, like church chaperone people, just like kind of random people that I don't ever talk to who are like at a different life stage. And so I was nervous that they were going to see it and think I was weird. But it really has been cool because it's like, I've realized that there are a lot of people who I went to high school with who I follow on Facebook, but we're not friends on Instagram. And so it's really opened up a whole new market for me since I like got through all my Instagram people in the first, like, I think like 5 months. And then something else that has given Instagram and like social media, it's just like made it more fun for me, is each time somebody like comments on my post or I get a new follower, I try to go in and say, like in their messages, I'll give a little like, hey, like my name's Meredith. I love meeting new people on Instagram. I'm a wife and a nurse, and I try to share like healthy tips and tricks that I learn. I'd love to get to know you too. And so it's kind of my way of acknowledging that they've entered into my store. So like if you walked into a boutique and nobody said anything to you, you'd be like, okay, like I'm here. Would you like to help me? But it's just kind of my way of like welcoming them in and giving them like a sense of like personhood behind my page. And you'd be surprised, like some people will respond and be like this whole long novel of like, I met my husband here and did this and I lift weights and blah, blah. I'm like, that's awesome. Great to meet you. Like, I love it. And then the other half the time, I don't get any response, and that's fine. Like, it's just, you're going to get both kinds of people. And then lastly, so I have like pretty strict boundaries when it comes to social media. When I do my power hour, I set timers. So I spend 10 minutes a day reaching out to new people. So the way that I do that is I go to a page that I know I'm going to have something in common with the followers. And so either like a nursing page or a Christian-based page. And I just go to the most recent picture and look at who's liked it. And so then I'll spend, like, I set a timer on my Apple Watch, 10 minutes, and I look through who's liked that picture. And if I see a girl who I think we'd be friends, I either follow them or I'll engage on a couple of their posts. And then once the 10 minutes is up, I'm off. Like, I put my phone down, I move on with the rest of my power hour. Because I don't like when social media is on my mind too much. And if I'm scrolling and just like taking in all these different stimuluses, it just like messes with my brain. So I have to have good boundaries with it. And then just kind of to reiterate, if I'm ever finding myself in a place where I'm like getting too into social media, I just have to stop and like take a breath and like pray about it and ask the Lord to help me like see this as a tool and not as something that's gonna suck the life from me and something that I'm able to like give value out. It doesn't have to be something that like gets into me and like messes with my mind. I don't know if that's just me, but social media has a way of just like permeating my mind and like making my life just feel really weird. So that's kind of really big for me. And then, so something just kind of a good like question to ask yourself, can somebody come to your page and see that you help people with their health and fitness journey? So if I walked in, I like using analogies a lot. So let's say I walked into a boutique and it was called Dog Toys. If I then walked in and all I saw was like human t-shirts, I'd be like, where are the dog toys? Like, why is it called Dog Toys and that's not actually what's happening? So if somebody comes to your page and you have like nothing that makes it look like you're helping people on their journey, you're probably going to lose clients, because if they're coming to you and they like your stuff and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, like what? Then it just might be a little confusing. So I'm not saying don't post stuff from your personal life. I still post stuff like when we go to a wedding or when we have like an event, like I still post that stuff. But I try in the first like 6 squares or 9 squares to have something, either like a workout video, a post that I talk about coaching, some sort of like fitness tip, just something that if they like looked through my last couple posts, they'd be like, oh, she's into fitness. So that's just something that I try to do. What's this one called? Follow-ups. Okay, so this is part of my power hour. It's part of the business activity tracker, but it is so important I made an entire slide for it. So I heard this quote from a talk that I listened to way back in October, and it says, the fortune is in the follow-up, and it has changed the game. So I have very, very few clients who said yes the first time I invited them. The majority of them take 3 to, now that I've been in a little bit longer, like I've had girls who joined me this month who I reached out to in October. 7 months later, they were finally ready. So following up has been huge, 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 huge. I use Google Streak. It is an app that is linked to my Gmail, and it has a little tab where I can tell it to remind me. Sorry, my dog is itching his neck and his collar is really loud. There's a tab that's called tasks, and I can tell it to remind me to follow up with somebody for whatever date I tell it to. So every day when I'm doing my power hour, I do my 10 minutes of my reaching out to new people, and then I go to my Streak app and I click on the tasks, and then I just look through all the people that it's telling me to follow up with, and I follow up with them. My rule of thumb, so I know some coaches will follow up like 24 to 48 hours after they like send an email or send pricing options or whatever. I do 3 to 4 days only because as a nurse, if I'm working 3 in a row and I get an invite on my first day, like me being a coach, I'm on my phone more than most people, but a majority of people are not going to look at their phone until after that third day. So I tend to err on like 3 to 4 days. And that's just like, if somebody said they were interested and I asked them for their email and they still haven't given me their email in 3 days, I'll ask them, hey, are you still interested in hearing about what I'm doing? Or if I've sent them like a sample workout or the pricing options, I'll just ask if they've had a chance to look at it. Again, you can do pencil and paper. I know a lot of coaches who still use pencil and paper, like Julie does pencil and paper and she's been a coach for 3.5 years. I just use something that I can have on my phone because when I'm at work 3 days a week, I'm building this thing strictly from my phone. I'm not able to get out my paper and my pencil and my list at my computer at work. I'm like, all I can do is this. So I use my phone for it. Let me see if I had anything else I'm following up. I don't think so. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. And then mindset. So mindset is huge. It hasn't happened the past 2 months, but the first 5 months of coaching, every time I got to my time of the month, I would have 4 days where I wanted to quit and I didn't want to be a coach anymore. And I would have to go to my husband and have a pep talk with him. And he would have to remind me, like, Meredith, this is why you're doing this. Do not quit. Like, you are so good at this. And I don't know why, but it happened. So I had to go back to my why. I had to go back to like the personal development concepts of, okay, it's going to be hard. There's not going to be just every single day that you're like loving it and riding the momentum, but you got to get back into it and be like, okay, it is the same thing. It's just my emotions that have changed, and those emotions are going to pass when I get past my period. And so something else that has really helped is praying every single day and looking, I mentioned this earlier, but looking at who God has given you right now. So I'm going to kind of talk out of order on this page, but there's a tabbed in thing that says what you focus on grows. And so what you focus on, if you're focusing on the no's, if you're focusing on all the people who you thought were going to come on board with you and they didn't, or if you're focusing on like how much longer you think you have until you can get to your goal, that is going to just take over your mind and not allow you to enjoy the process. But if you're focusing on what is good, like the current clients that you have, if you're focusing on just simply the fact that you're able to build a business from your phone and that you're able to do this and you're able to help people, that is going to also grow in your mind and give you such a better outlook on this business. Yeah, sorry, I'm making sure I like don't skip anything. Yeah, so what you focus on grows. Focus on what you've already been given in this business and the potential that you have. And then also, like, so many other coaches have done this before you successfully, so why can't you do it? Like, your journey as a coach is not going to look the same as somebody else's, but there are people from all walks of life, all stages of life who have made coaching their full-time business. And so if that's your goal, like, why can't you do it too? There's nothing that's stopping you. It's just doing the vital behaviors, showing up every day and staying consistent. And then don't count your chickens before they hatch. So I had a really bad habit of doing this my first 2 months. I was like, all right, I'd reach out to somebody and they'd say, yes, I'm so interested. Like, I want to do the option with the work and the shakes. And I'm like, amazing. And I'd send them the link and then they'd be like, actually, I just want to get the workouts. And I was like, oh, man. And I would be really let down, but I was let down because I had already counted in my head. I was like, oh, yes, like that's 2 Success Club points. But then when they like backed down and they were like, oh, I actually just want to get the workouts, I was let down because I had already counted those points in my head. But that's still a win. Like, they're still getting signed up with workouts. They're still going to get the accountability, and they're still going to get the nutrition aspect that I help them in with the group. And so, you still get commission on the workouts, but I was just frustrated because I had already counted those 2 points in my head. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. Like, I just try to not like even think about the points or the money or anything. I'm just like, I want this person to be helped the way that they can be helped right now. And right now, a lot of that looks like, all right, I'm going to reach back out after you get your job back and we'll talk then, because I'm not going to try to force somebody into paying for workouts if they don't have a job right now. Like, that's not wise. Being married to a financial advisor also probably helps with that, because I'm like, I know that he is like having all these people who've lost their jobs and they're just not able to pay for everything right now. And then you are probably maybe wondering what this frog picture is in the corner. This is a picture from the book, The Slight Edge, which I have mentioned a lot. It is so good. But it is this story about these frogs who fell into a bucket of cream. And at first they were like kicking and trying to get out of the cream, and they couldn't get it, and they were just kicking and kicking and kicking, and nothing was happening. So one frog was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just gonna drown and die because I can't kick anymore. So he's the one laying in the cream, dead right there. And then the other frogs were like, no, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm just gonna kick until I get out of here. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna keep doing it. And so he kicked, and eventually he kicked, and the cream turned into butter. Sorry, our dog is actually like, he never barks, and my husband just came home with groceries. I think Graham thought it was an intruder. He does not bark, like, ever. Anyway, so the frog kicked and kicked and kicked until the cream turned into butter, and he was able to step on the butter and get out of the bucket. And in the same way, you might feel like you're just grinding your gears and doing the vitals and nothing is happening, but with time and with consistency, you will see results, and you will like see the success, and you will be able to help people, and you will have coaches who want to join you on your team. It just might not feel like it. You're just going to feel like you're doing it over and over and over and nothing's happening. That's it for that slide. And then this is just kind of my little wrap up, let's go slide. So the only way to fail in this business is to give up or to not do the vital behaviors. So if you're doing the vital behaviors every single day and you're doing it over a long length of time, you will be successful. There is literally nothing stopping you from doing that. And I can sit here and walk through all the logistics and all the things that I do, but if you're not actually putting it into action, you will not grow your business. You're not going to grow it by sitting there and wishing that it's going to be there. You're going to have to actually take a step and do it, and do the vital behaviors, pick a workout program, share about it, invite people, reach out to new people. Yeah, it is also not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen without effort. So when I first started, I was like, man, it would be so cool if I got to go part-time in 6 months, which I'm sure with some people, they'd be able to do that. But I am not ready to go part-time yet with my nursing job. But the amount of growth that I've seen from day one to now is like stupid. Like the fact that I am able to hit Success Club like 20 plus or months in a row, I'm like, what? Like, where did these people even come from? But it is so cool because I'm seeing the fruit of the consistent work that I did back in December. And then the people that I'm inviting right now are my clients that I'm going to get in July, August, and September. So you just have to have a long-term vision with this, because it's not going to be a quick fix. So let's be doers of our words. Let's stick to what we said we were going to do with coaching. Let's let our yes mean yes, and let's crush this, you guys. That's all I got.
Oh my God, I love it. I love the ending. Oh my God, Meredith, that was so good. Like, I mean, you just nailed it. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's so easy, just like, National Wake Up Call today, right now, like, you just are focused on doing the things that you know you need to do. And I really truly believe, like, you know, having the long-term vision is so important. And that was one of the first things I wrote down when you started. It was because that's what I did. And I, you know, have always continued to do that to this day, is just like writing out that vision every single day as if it's happening. You know, as if it's already happened, you know, like I am a top 10 coach, or I am this, or I am that, or I make this much, or whatever. Cause like what you focus on really does grow. And you know, you can't explain it. And I think that's what's so tough about coaching at times. And like, that's why we all have those moments. Like when you said that you like want to quit every month, I was dying, because I feel like we all have those moments where we feel like, oh my God, like you think about it. You do the what if I quit question. And like, you know, but what always stops me, you know, like I truly like, I know, like it always like just brings me back to like, okay, well, what would my life look like without coaching? And do I want to go back to where I was at before coaching? And the answer is like always no. Like it's never better, you know? But truly, like looking back on, I'm someone that can get really caught up too when like, oh, I'm not where I want to be yet. And with social media and all that stuff, I'm the same way. Like if I don't have boundaries with my business, with social media, with every part of this, like setting boundaries in general for me is so important, because otherwise you know, I think it's so easy for us to get imbalanced, you know, like just like that saying goes, like balance doesn't truly exist. Well, we can control the controllable, and the controllable are the vitals, right? Controllable is setting business hours, you know, like, you know, I'm like the same. I just feel like that's what's helped me the most in my business as I've continued to, you know, grow. And the longer you go with this, it's like it never stops. The imposter syndrome never stops. Every level that you go, from emerald to diamond to star diamond and beyond, like you're always going to have that imposter syndrome. As your social media grows, you're always going to have that imposter syndrome. Like you just have to be able to be willing to, like, you know, like you said, like set boundaries and focus on the controllable things, you know? So, and then I love like how honest you are about like your routine, you know, like just like the fact that you work 312s, like we do have a lot of nurses on our team and stuff, and just people in healthcare. And, you know, and like I'm like you, I think consistency is, that's always helped me. But that's me. Like I'm someone, like if I do it every day, I know I'm going to keep the habit, you know, like same thing with social media, posting on social media, same thing with inviting, like my daily routines. Like I'm better when I stick to my daily routines, even if like it doesn't matter. Like I believe in that momentum. But, you know, as I've gone through different seasons, and I believe everyone has different seasons, and that might look differently, you know, like, and I just think you have to figure out what works for you, but something that you can also do consistently, even though you might work the different 3 hour, you know, 312s each week, but you know what you do on the days you work, and you know what you do on the days you don't, you know? And I just think like that's really, really helpful, for people to hear. Does anyone have any questions or just comments? I think you like really just like nailed it. And I wanted to say about like your scripture that you brought up. I am not a super religious person, but I consider myself a very spiritual person. And everything that you brought up, like all of the scripture that you shared tonight, and just anything like everything reminds me of everything I've learned from The Universe Has Your Back and like Gabrielle Bernstein. Like it's the same concept, like that you just have to, again, like focus on you have to be joyful with what you have now, and like that you have to again release yourself from the outcomes. Like you know what the vision you want and you know what you're working towards, but you have to also like release yourself from the pressure of making it happen. Like, because we can't make anything happen, but we can like control how we feel right now, and that good energy attracts good things and good, you know, all of that stuff. And like, and it was just like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, if, you know, you're right. Like, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, religious or not. Like, it all comes down to the fact that we all have to just focus on the good stuff. And that's really helped me with the finances too. Like, you know, being grateful for where you're at in your business. Like, be grateful for the paycheck that you're getting, and like where, you know, the team that you have, all of those things like has all like been super helpful. And it's so like cool to see you have already like figured that out, and you already, because that, I feel like that took me forever, you know, like failing forward to just kind of like, you know, go through some really like hard mental blocks that I had to work through. And it all comes down to just being like, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to just keep going with your own journey and like know that you're going to get there eventually and all that. But I could talk forever, but I will shut up. Yeah. I was just dying when when the dog started barking. I was dying because that would have happened. That happens with my dogs. I thought it was Shannon's dog. Like, I was like, oh my God, that would totally happen with Shannon. Like, Shannon has like a hound. Oh my God. So funny. Like, it totally would have happened. So that was like one of the best parts.
It's just crazy because he's not a barker. Like, we got him from a shelter, and he was the only dog in the entire shelter who just sat there quietly and did not bark. So that was very bizarre.
Oh, I loved it. It just is, I was like, that's just real life right there. Real life. Love it. Well, Meredith, thank you. Thank you guys for staying on, and thank you all for just taking the time out tonight to come and listen to Meredith. And Meredith, again, thank you so much. This was awesome.
This was awesome.
Bye, guys.